Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Jessica Richey here, owner and CEO of Richey Workforce Development, where I serve as chief strategist. Look, and NC Spotless Pros Power Washing, right? Because that's my baby. Where I serve as strategy and operations behind the scenes, as well as when needed in the field. But so thankful to be back here. First of all, thank you again because the purpose of this entire series that we're doing, Women Who Build, is a special thank you in February. The goal was to grow our YouTube channel, right? And a part of that was to get 50 subscribers, and we did that within the 2 week time frame. So, as a special thank you during the month of March, Women's History Month, we are honoring 5 remarkable women, and I'm sharing them. I'm bringing them to you who are doing just that. They are building. And so I hope you are ready because today we're going to continue that conversation. So, good evening and welcome again. I am so glad that you're here to another conversation, this amazing series of Women Who Build. And as you think about just where we're going, like each conversation is highlighting women who are building influences in areas like workforce development. We talked about nonprofits. We talked about the financial industry, government contracting, just business growth. And tonight, we're talking about something that every organization eventually faces at some point. And so I just want the goal today is for you to be prepared. How do you build high performing teams? Because, see, here's the truth. Organizations don't grow because of strategy alone, right? You may just have the strategy, but they grow because of people, leadership, and operational excellence. And so tonight's guest understands what that means. So I'm excited to welcome to the stage with me today, Fonda Hill. Welcome, Fonda. How are you?
I am great, Jessica. How are you?
I am doing good. I am doing so good. And I'll just briefly share, and I'll give you a moment to go into who you are further. But Fonda is a workforce leadership and operations strategist with more than 2 decades of experience leading teams, managing complex projects, and strengthening workforce performance. And after building her career at AT&T, leading large-scale operational initiatives, she founded Next Level GovConnect, a consulting and training firm that helps organizations develop strong supervisors, improve workforce readiness, and build high performing teams. Through her leadership development, workforce training, and operational support, she helps organizations close the gap between employee engagement and operational excellence. And I, again, am so excited to have her here. Fonda, can you, before we really just dive into it in high performing teams, I love for you to share your journey briefly, right? You've led teams at a high level in corporate environment, and now you help organizations strengthen that. What inspired you to start? Tell us all about Next Level GovConnect.
Hey, Jessica, when I started my career straight out of high school, like you mentioned, in the telecom industry, I spent over 2 decades working in operations and project leadership roles, supporting mission critical network environments. So the teams I worked with and the teams I managed were responsible for keeping services running that people rely on every day. So performance and accountability were incredibly important. So
Mm.
yeah, very important. So um, what led me to live out my passion in Next Level Go Connect, I remember one particularly challenging rollout. We were implementing new processes and a new system, and I was very focused on making sure that I had created an environment that was conducive to my team having everything that they needed. And then they was joking, telling me that I wasn't my team Sunday school teacher and all that kind of stuff. And then because of the way I was supporting them. And so at that moment, it was actually it strengthened something in me. I had already begun to believe that caring for your team and holding them accountable for results was not the opposite they weren't opposite, they were the same. You could care about your team and have high performing results. So at that point, that's when I decided to launch my passion, which is Next Level Gov Connect, where I help organizations strengthen their workforce through supervisor development and workforce readiness programs.
Yes, yes, I
Because in
love
my
that.
experience, I have found that operational excellence begins with people.
Oh, I like that. That is so true. Operational excellence begins with People. That's good. That's good. And it
Yes,
shows the teacher you are when you were talking about it,
yes, yes,
right?
yes.
I love that. I love that. And you said mission critical. That's so important, right?
Oh,
That's
yes.
important. People don't prepare or think about mission critical. Like some of the assignments, I can imagine that you had to work, and we think behind the scenes and the different things that you were doing, that you were building. And one of the important things I think about is just leadership structure, right? And
Mhm.
operational systems, how they play a huge role. I'm curious, though, to know as well, from your experience, what are some key elements that separate high performing teams from average teams?
Hmm. That's a good question, Jessica. And from in my experience, there's three elements that separate high performing teams from average teams. The first one, I believe, is clarity. Everyone
Mm,
understands the mission, the priorities, and what success looks like. The second one is accountability and support. And high performing teams know what's expected of them. They feel supported by leadership when challenges arise. That's the second element. And the third one is connection. When people feel respected and valued, they connect to the mission. And those three
mm,
elements together, clarity, accountability, and connection, when those three are present, you have communication is better, they solve problems faster, and consistently perform at high levels.
high level, right? I think that that's missing. You have people performing, but not performing at high levels. When we talk about those average teams to being a high performing team and having those repetitive processes, right, to continue to implement as a high level at that high level, I think is so important. And when I think about what you're saying, right, you've done a lot of work around strengthening. We think about supervisors, we're thinking about frontline leadership as well.
Mhm.
Many organizations, they invest heavily in executive leadership, but sometimes they overlook the importance of strong supervisors. Again, what you're talking about. And why are supervisors so critical when it comes to building high performing teams, right?
Mhm.
What would you say?
What would I say? Why supervisor important? And before we get into that, I'll mention one little experience that I've had in my mission here, Jessica. Um, Back during it was some storms in Atlanta a few years ago. One of my employees lived in Douglasville, and the road was washed out. She found a way to get to work because she was connected to the mission and connected to her team members in a way that she showed up. So it's very important to be connected to the mission.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And what was your next question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was talking about because I love where you were going. Why are supervisors so critical when it comes to building high performing teams?
Mm. Supervisors are important when it comes to building high performance teams because that supervisor is the first line of leadership that those employees experience. They translate strategy into daily work. They shape the culture and the engagement, and they influence attendance, morale, and productivity. So strategy is created at the top, but performance happens at the front line with these supervisors.
Wow, wow, wow. That's good. That's good. Front line, right? That front line has to be strong, strong defense
It
is what
has to
I
be.
think about. It definitely does, right?
Yes.
Um, and I'm thinking as you're talking, like I believe for leaders or organizations who are watching and they want to improve their performance right now, when you think about one practical step that they can immediately implement to begin strengthening their team and culture and performance, what advice would you give to them?
One advice I would give them, one thing that I would do today if I were them, is I would schedule a roundtable with my employees. And we would talk. I would find out what problems are they having, what challenges are they facing, what can I do to remove any roadblocks that they're having, and to make sure that they understand the mission. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead. I see it flowing.
Okay, okay. And if I wanted to top it off, what I would actually do is do a personality test. I would find out their strengths and their weaknesses, because in high performing teams, you want them to be able to bring their strengths to the table. And just imagine a whole team of people bringing their strengths. You got a powerhouse.
I love that. I love that. How do you set the tone as you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going into these workforce, you're going into the workforce, you're going into this arena. Like, how do you set the tone? What does that look like for you going into, when you're going into the company, the organizations to work with them?
What does it look like? Back it up a
Yes.
little bit. What does it look like for me? If I was going
Yes,
into,
yes,
okay,
yes. So when we talk about, and I'm speaking from the standpoint of we were talking about high performing teams and the importance of
mhm,
supervisors, right?
okay,
So
okay.
when I think about seeing you, the work that you do with supervisors and the work that you do with them as the front runners, right? What does that look like? What can they experience from you? That person listening right now, what can they get from you coming into their organization to help them grow?
What they can get from me, we're going to sit down and we're going to have a talk. I want to find out where they are, where do they feel like their challenges are, and I'm going to offer them what a framework that I have created that can help them remove any roadblocks so that they can see their way out of the challenges that they're facing. Whether it's
Mm.
communicating with their team, recognizing KPIs, whatever it is, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk so I can find out what their challenges are.
Ooh, come on now, that's good. And I always call it pulling back the layers of the onion, right?
Yes,
Because you
yes.
got to go deeper than the surface, right? So
Mhm.
as we talk about going deeper, where does that passion come from for you, Fonda? Like even going into this work, right? Because there's so many different industries. What draws you to this work?
What draws me to this work is I started out in as I left high school and I had no direction. I had to use personal development and I basically just kind of fumbled through it on my own. So now I would like to give people the opportunity to get that skill, get workforce ready, get ready for the workforce, and also if you're a supervisor, to give you the tools and a framework that can help you be successful in managing these people that are coming into the workforce.
Ooh, that's so good and so needed. And you make me think about burnout, right? Can you speak to that supervisor, to that leader, to that employee right now who may be listening and they feel that burnout from work? Like, what encouragement would you give that person listening right now?
Mm. It's okay to feel that you're in burnout. Don't stay there. Feel it, but you got to go through it. All you need is a framework, a system, and a framework. You put it in place so that you and your employees can navigate through these challenges and
I
get to the
love
other
that.
side of them.
Yes, yes. Say that last part again.
And get to the other side of them.
Yes, I love my mind kept going back to what you just said. Do not stay there. Like, don't stay there. Like, I just kept hearing that, like, for that person that's going through it, don't stay there, get through it. And I love how you said that to the other side of it. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
And if I
And
can,
this, go ahead. Yes.
yeah, and once I get in, we're going to go through what I have designed as a next method, which of course we're going to navigate the priorities. We're going to engage the team in it. We're going to execute with discipline, and then we're going to transform their performance. So I will work with that supervisor around that framework.
Okay. Wow. Wow. That's good. The next method.
Yes.
Okay, all right now. The next method. Okay. That is so good. And I really love how you talked about the next method because you, like you said, you gotta have the framework, you gotta have the strategy, the systems in place so
Mhm.
that you can get through the situations that you face on a daily basis when you're operating at that high level, right?
Yes.
Because I always say it makes me think of career resilience. You know, you're gonna have different situations that come, but it's all in how you deal with it, right?
Correct.
Because we all experience some type of challenge, some type of hardship, different things we all face. But at the end of the day, you get to choose your response. So I love that you have the next method you were talking about that actually goes over and breaks down the different points. Run through that next method again for me again.
Okay. N for navigate the priorities. E, we're going to engage the team in what we're doing so that they can take ownership in it. They can connect to the mission. Then E, we're going to execute with discipline. You have to be held accountable. And then we're going to transform their performance.
Come on now. That's a total package. Everything you need for your next, right there.
Yes. Yep.
You
Yes.
just gave the framework, right? Everything
Yes.
you need for your next. I love that. I love that fun. And I know our time today was gonna fly by because it's an honor just to be connected to you. When you think about this series, right? It's called
Mhm.
A Woman Who Builds. And I would love to know from you, what does it mean to be a woman who builds?
A woman who builds means that I'm getting outside of myself. I'm taking what I have experienced, and now I want to help other people make their road easier, make their way easier.
Easier. That is so good. And I love that it just shows back to who you are, back to
Mhm.
what you do. Now, if someone's listening and they're like, how can I connect with you? How can other people connect with you?
You can find me on social media, www.nlgovconnect.com.
Awesome. www.nl.govconnect.com.
Yes, yes.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so but right before we close, I do want to I know we talked about going deeper, right?
Mhm.
And I know you have a question for me, but I think it's really powerful because having you here today and seeing the work that you're doing in the workforce makes a huge difference. And for me, it's such an honor to have you participate in our programs and in the opportunities that we do to serve and to train others. And what I love about you is to see your growth, right? You participated in our programs. You recently renewed your membership to continue growing and expanding in your impact of work. And I would love to know from you, like, I always say builders keep building, right? And that's why I was like, you would definitely be a perfect guest for this. They continue to invest in their growth. And a lot of times that's the part that's left out, right? We're
Yes.
building, but we're not investing. And when you operate at that high level, you need people who are going to hold you accountable. Think about that. And I was like, you know what? I would love to know what made you renew your membership and continue building with us.
What made it was easy, Jessica. It was a no-brainer really, because the way you leave little gems, you leave little nuggets. You're teaching us about grants and growth, but it's way more than that. You're helping us with business development. You're leaving little gems. Every time I look around, you drop the gem for me. And I really appreciate that. So I was like, I got, why would I not be in there? So,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, I like that. I like how you said that I dropped the gym. Well, Fonda, you pick it up, okay? Because it's not every day you get to work with people who actually implement the strategies, who are
Hmm.
actually not just sitting in there, but are doing the work. And I love that. And I
Yes.
always joke about you, what I'll say, because in session one, I never forget when we did, for example, Grant Mastery Intensive One, which has been birthed into so much more. But we were
Hmm.
talking about, I was like, at that time, we were going to take a break. And I was like, all right, we'll start probably beginning of the new year. And it was like the last time for questions, and you was like, "Hold up, wait, I'm trying to figure out how we stay connected." And I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Let me." I was like, "This is the time. It really is." And I love to
Yes.
see people like yourself who are hungry. And I always say you want to connect with other people who are willing to show you the way, like-minded, who are going to help you grow, help you scale. So I'm so excited. It's an honor to have you in my community. It's excited, just to have you here with me today to share your knowledge, to share your wisdom of what you're doing at Next Level GovConnect. Now, of course, we talked about you having a question for me. I wanted to know right now, when you think about grants, growth, and government contracts, right?
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
just your next level, just advice, that I can help you. What would that question be for me today?
That question would be, Jessica, as I continue building Next Level Gov Connect, which focuses on workforce readiness and supervisor development, what advice would you give me for positioning my services to organizations looking to strengthen their workforce?
Now that's a good question. That was loaded. That was loaded. So the first thing that I would do, though, honestly, that's a good question, is begin to peel back the onion, right? So knowing
Mhm.
your work, first of all, of what you do, the first thing that comes to mind is you are the secret weapon. You're the
Mhm.
secret weapon. Like you are, when we talk about strategy, when we talk about positioning, it's you. I would encourage you to be more visible so that people can see what you have to offer. I would
Okay.
encourage you to position yourself out, like when I say the secret weapon, right? With where you are, right? In
Mhm.
Atlanta, in Georgia, my goodness, like the land of opportunities, right? The more you get out, the more you network, the more you are seen and people know what you know. I think a lot of times we think, okay, I only know what I know, but there are so many people who need the information that you have. When you think about your years that you had the opportunity to serve, that was an
Mm.
honor for AT&T to be able to have you on board, to be able to serve there, right? But
Yes.
now when you package that, because when I go back to, again, that next package, I loved your framework.
Mhm.
So people just need to know you. How do they know you? You got to get in the rooms where decision makers are. And as we
Mm.
know, and with workforce development, I'm strategic on, because I did a teaching this weekend, yesterday. And when we left out, I did specifically, and this is how we would break it down, is the 90-day plan, right? So when we talk about the 90-day plan, the thing that I would look at when you said corporate, you specifically said corporations, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
know we talked about it some of certifications. And I tell people, no, certifications don't automatically win you contracts, but they do build relationships and they're conversation starters. And they get you in the room. So they get you access, right? And
Okay.
you had the opportunity to take the course where I provided there are banks, there are institutions who are willing to pay for you to have those certifications, right? So I would encourage you position yourself to get that corporate certification. One could be MBE or the WBE, right? We talked about a grant strategy, so you could do both. But once you get that certification and you want to position yourself now as the go-to resource. I
Mm.
tell people a lot of time, even with you, because I know having you has been an amazing opportunity to build out and assist with the vendor process because you've seen that firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think vendor relationship, the other side of that is going to be building those relationships. Relationships take time. I look at it as marriage. So let's say now you need to identify who are the top 3 corporations you want to work with, right?
Mm.
So once let's say you get certified, even while you're waiting to get certified, you're getting that grant for the certification, that right?
Mm-hmm.
Even
Correct.
while you're doing that, start building the relationships with the decision makers. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Are they local? The
Mm.
3 organizations. What are the needs of those organizations? Pull them up. Research their be a part of their newsletters. I'm telling you, when I first got into this industry, I was reading everything everywhere because I wanted to learn. So now I know where to go for what. But you want it to be the same, that they need what you have. They can call you in for what they need, that next level strategy.
Thank
That's
you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Is that helping?
That passion you poured into that answer is the same passion you pour into your community, and I appreciate that. Yes, that helps.
Yes, yes. So it does not stop here. Like you can continue to build this out. Matter of fact, we meet again next week, next Sunday. So right after our Women Who Build session, I'm pouring into that community. So if you're building that out in real time, like come in there. This is what I've done. What is the next step to this? Because what I've learned is you can have a goal, but accountability makes the biggest difference, right? And when you
Yes.
have accountability, you also you got to have the right accountability, right? So
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you're implementing those next steps. So, and then I always say track your progress as well. What took the steps you took to get there? You reached out, you had the conversations, you had the call. And what you'll find is that you get responses more different than what you thought you were going into it for.
Mm.
Like it's a different conversation. But that's how you build your Rolodex of who does what you may need. I just think you have to be clear on the strategy for that next 90 days. And
Okay.
like I said, I do believe you're in the land of opportunities. You're in a great area. There are a lot of people winning there when it comes to grants, growth, and government contracts, all 3. So that's the power of 3 for what you have. I keep going back to that next that you mentioned, that strategy is going to make a huge difference.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Absolutely. So thank you again for telling everyone how they can connect with you. Such an honor to continue to serve you. And your work of helping organizations strengthen leadership and workforce performance is incredibly important. It is needed and needed now. And as we close this series, not close the series yet, right? This particular
Right.
session, I do want to thank everyone for joining us who watches the replay. Feel free, drop replay in the chat. A nugget that has helped you. Like Fonda said, you drop the nuggets, but I need you to be like Fonda and pick them up and implement it, right? Because that's what's going to make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the change that you see. So make sure you stay connected. We're building towards something really special that we'll be sharing on our final episode of this series on Sunday, March the 29th. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Share this conversation with someone who's building something meaningful. And we'll see you next Sunday at 6 p.m. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.